The quantum communication array flickered with ghostly patterns, a delicate web of intercepted human transmissions that had consumed the Zornak diplomatic research team for decades. Ambassador Kreltak studied the holographic display, 6 crystalline eyes blinking in rapid sequence as another layer of human complexity revealed itself. Dr. Emily Rodriguez's latest report lay suspended in the air between them, a 3-dimensional projection of human cultural nuances that seemed to defy all standard sinological classifications. Her research was meticulous, almost obsessive, a deep dive into a species that existed at the razor's edge of chaos and brilliance. "They are impossible to categorize," Rodriguez said, her holographic image rotating slowly, highlighting key points in her analysis. Her digital representation wore the standard Zornak research uniform, a fluid biomechanical suit that shifted colors with each movement of her body. Humans operate on principles that contradict everything we know about advanced civilizations. Kreltax absorbed the information, the neural receptors along their crystalline spine processing each detail with calculated precision. The Zornak had observed hundreds of emerging civilizations across the galaxy, but humanity presented a unique challenge. They were simultaneously destructive and creative, capable of breathtaking violence and unprecedented cooperation. The communication array captured another burst of human data, a compilation of what they called Internet memes, seemingly nonsensical visual and textual communications that somehow conveyed complex social information. One moment showed a small furry creature called a cat doing something humans found inexplicably amusing. The next, a complex mathematical equation accompanied by an image of a theoretical physicist. "Their information networks are impossibly complex," Rodriguez continued. "They share knowledge at speeds that our most advanced communication systems can barely comprehend. What appears to be chaos is actually a highly sophisticated distributed intelligence system." Kreltax knew the stakes were higher than any previous first contact mission. The Galactic Concordance had been watching humanity with a mixture of fascination and growing concern. Most emerging species followed predictable patterns of development: technological progression, resource management, interspecies diplomacy. Humans defied every known model. Their technological progression was nonlinear. They would develop world-changing technologies, then seemingly abandon them for completely different approaches. Their communication systems evolved faster than any known civilization's communication infrastructure. Most critically, they demonstrated an adaptive capability that terrified many galactic observers. The diplomatic mission had been years in preparation. Every gesture, every potential communication pathway had been meticulously studied. The Zornak had compiled petabytes of data from satellite observations, intercepted communications, and sophisticated analysis algorithms. Rodriguez pulled up another set of data streams: military communications intertwined with scientific research, commercial broadcasting mixed with personal communications. "Look at how they integrate different knowledge systems," she said. "A social media platform can contain complex scientific discussions, economic analysis, and what they call jokes, cognitive disruption mechanisms that serve complex social bonding functions." Kreltax noted the peculiar human trait of information sharing. Unlike most species that carefully guarded knowledge, humans seem to proliferate information at unprecedented rates. Their open-source technological development model was completely alien to most galactic civilizations. The research team had identified multiple potential first contact scenarios. Some advocated for a direct, formal approach. Others suggested a more nuanced method of gradual revelation. But each scenario came with significant risks. Humans had already demonstrated their capacity for rapid technological adaptation. Their response to global challenges, from climate shifts to technological disruptions, showed a remarkable ability to reorganize entire societal structures with remarkable speed. "We are walking into something unprecedented," Rodriguez said, her holographic image now showing multiple layers of human cultural interactions. Sports events merged with scientific conferences, political debates intertwined with artistic performances, The boundaries between different human knowledge systems seemed intentionally blurred. Krultax activated the mission preparation protocols. The diplomatic ship would carry a carefully selected team, experts in communication, cultural adaptation, technological assessment, and diplomatic negotiation. Every team member had undergone extensive psychological and physiological preparation. But beneath the calm exterior of diplomatic preparation, a subtle current of uncertainty flowed. The Zornak knew they were approaching a species that did not conform to any known galactic paradigm. Humanity was an unknown variable, a potential catalyst that could dramatically reshape existing interspecies dynamics. As the final preparations were made, no one, not Ambassador Krultax, not Dr. Rodriguez, not the entire Zornak diplomatic corps, could have predicted what was about to unfold. The United Nations headquarters gleamed under the early morning sunlight, a monument to human diplomacy and potential. Ambassador Michael Thompson stood at the center of the Grand Assembly Hall, his posture a careful balance of diplomatic formality and underlying tension. Behind him, a carefully curated team represented the pinnacle of human expertise, each member selected not just for their professional credentials, but for their ability to adapt to the most unexpected scenarios. Dr. Catherine Martinez, the lead xenobiological expert, adjusted her augmented reality glasses. They weren't just a communication device, but a sophisticated analysis tool that was already processing multiple predictive scenarios. Her fingers brushed almost imperceptibly against a hidden communication node integrated into her tailored blazer. The hall itself was a masterpiece of controlled environment design. Acoustic dampeners prevented external sounds from interfering. Quantum encryption fields surrounded the entire space, creating a communication bubble that would prevent any unauthorized data transmission. But these were just the visible precautions. General Robert Chen stood to the left of Ambassador Thompson, his military background evident in every measured breath. His eyes continuously scanned the room, not just observing, but analyzing potential threat vectors that most would never perceive. A sophisticated neural implant, officially classified as a communication enhancement device, tracked multiple intelligence streams simultaneously. At precisely 10:47 a.m., the first signs of the Zornak delegation's arrival began. The massive doors of the assembly hall seemed to shimmer, a quantum-locked entrance that represented years of diplomatic preparation. The Zornak delegation moved with a crystalline precision that was both beautiful and unsettling. Ambassador Krultax led the group, their biomechanical body a testament to advanced technological integration. 6 crystalline eyes surveyed the room, each capable of perceiving wavelengths far beyond human visual spectrum. The translation devices embedded in the diplomatic team created a subtle hum of potential communication. Michael Thompson observed the approaching delegation with a carefully measured expression. Years of diplomatic training had prepared him for this moment, but something felt different. A subtle vibration, almost imperceptible, traveled through the floor. His neural link, disguised as a simple communication earpiece, began to pulse with a warning sequence. Dr. Martinez's augmented reality display flickered. Predictive algorithms were running at maximum capacity, generating potential interaction scenarios at an impossible rate. Something was not following the expected protocol. The Zornak delegation moved with a choreographed precision that spoke of years of preparation. Ambassador Krultax extended a crystalline appendage, a careful mimicry of the human handshake gesture, studied through years of covered observation. The movement was perfect, calculated to demonstrate respect and openness. But Michael Thompson's smile didn't quite reach his eyes. General Chen's neural implant began to pulse with a warning sequence. Multiple defense networks were coming online, not just in this room, but across global communication systems. Something was happening. Ambassador Krultax's appendage continued its trajectory towards Thompson's outstretched hand. The moment seemed to stretch, time itself becoming elastic in the Grand Assembly Hall. A barely perceptible vibration began to build. The first warning came as a subtle shift in the quantum communication fields. Dr. Martinez's augmented reality display erupted with a cascade of warnings, threat vectors, potential invasion scenarios, communication disruptions that shouldn't be possible. General Chen's voice, calm and precise, broke the diplomatic silence. "Incoming," he said, the single word carrying volumes of meaning. The massive view screens that lined the assembly hall's walls suddenly came to life, not with diplomatic briefings or welcome messages, but with images that defied comprehension. Massive shadow vessels were materializing in Earth's orbit, blocking out the sun with a precision that suggested something far beyond a simple military invasion. Ambassador Thompson's hand remained extended. The interrupted handshake became a moment suspended in time, a symbol of something far more complex than a simple diplomatic greeting. "Interesting timing," he said, his voice carrying a calm that seemed to defy the chaos erupting around them. The Zornak delegation froze. Their carefully prepared first contact scenario was unraveling in ways their most advanced predictive models could never have anticipated. Ambassador Krultax's crystalline appendage hung midway between diplomatic greeting and impending conflict. In that moment, humanity's true nature began to reveal itself. The invasion had begun, but nothing, absolutely nothing, would go according to plan. The Void Collective's invasion fleet represented the pinnacle of destructive technological evolution. Massive ships of obsidian and dark energy materialized in Earth's orbit, each vessel a testament to computational precision and weaponized efficiency. Their attack strategy had been perfected across multiple galactic conquests, a methodical approach that had subjugated countless civilizations. From the United Nations Command Center, General Robert Chen watched the incoming vessels with a calm that bordered on unsettling. His neural interface processed multiple data streams simultaneously, tracking every microscopic detail of the invasion's initial approach. The massive view screens surrounding him displayed a complex web of information: satellite trajectories, energy signatures, predictive combat algorithms. "Incoming primary strike vectors," announced Dr. Elena Rodriguez, her fingers dancing across a holographic control interface. Multiple continental targets identified. Projected casualties in the first wave estimated at 40% in major metropolitan areas. The words hung in the air, a clinical assessment of potential devastation. But something was different about the human response. Instead of panic, there was a coordinated electricity that seemed to pulse through every communication network. In Silicon Valley, technology campuses that had seemed like mere research centers suddenly transformed. Startup incubators became rapid engineering response units. Companies that had been developing next-generation technologies pivoted with impossible speed. A quantum computing center in Mountain View began recalibrating its systems, transforming cutting-edge research equipment into sophisticated defensive networks. Military bases that had appeared dormant erupted into coordinated activity. But it wasn't just a traditional military response. Drone networks reconfigured themselves, commercial satellite systems were weaponized, and communication networks became living, adaptive defense mechanisms. At CERN, research scientists abandoned theoretical physics projects and began developing weaponized particle technologies. Universities worldwide converted lecture halls into war rooms, academic networks becoming a distributed intelligence system, more complex than any centralized command structure. The Void Collective's initial assault followed a standard invasion protocol. Energy weapons targeted critical infrastructure. Invasion pods began their descent through Earth's atmosphere, designed to deliver specialized combat units to strategic locations. Their computational models predicted a complete planetary capitulation within hours. What they didn't understand was the nature of human adaptability. In the UN Assembly Hall, Ambassador Michael Thompson remained perfectly still. The Zornak delegation watched in stunned silence as human systems responded to the invasion with a fluidity that defied all known military strategies. "Interesting," Thompson said, his voice carrying a dangerous calm. The word seemed almost trivial in the face of a potential species-ending invasion. Dr. Catherine Martinez's augmented reality display tracked the invasion's progression. But instead of fear, her expression showed something closer to scientific fascination. "They're using a standard multi-vector assault pattern," she murmured, more to herself than anyone else. "Completely predictable." The first wave of Void Collective invasion pods encountered something unexpected. Commercial communication networks began to interfere with their navigation systems. Weather satellites redirected energy signatures. Industrial laser systems, originally designed for manufacturing, were instantaneously repurposed into defensive weapons. In New York, a group of software engineers who had been working on autonomous vehicle networks quickly reconfigured their systems. Delivery drones became reconnaissance units. Electric vehicle charging networks transformed into distributed energy weapon platforms. General Chen's voice cut through the controlled chaos. "Redirect all commercial quantum computing networks," he ordered. "Full defensive configuration." The response was instantaneous. Thousands of data centers worldwide shifted their computational power. What had been used for cryptocurrency mining, scientific research, and cloud computing became a massive distributed defense network. The Zornak delegation watched in absolute amazement. Ambassador Kreltax's crystalline body seemed to vibrate with an emotion close to disbelief. Their most advanced predictive models had completely failed to anticipate this level of systemic adaptability. Invasion pods began to fall from the sky, not from direct military counterattack, but from a complex web of interdependent system disruptions. Commercial networks fought alongside military systems. Academic research centers developed defensive technologies in real time. The Void Collective had conquered civilizations across multiple star systems. They had faced advanced military powers, technological societies, collective consciousness networks, but they had never encountered a species like humanity. This was not just a military response. This was a total societal mobilization that transformed an entire planetary infrastructure into a living, breathing defense mechanism. The invasion had begun, but nothing would go according to the Void Collective's plans. The global response to the invasion unfolded with a complexity that defied traditional military doctrine. In Boston, the Massachusetts Institute of Technology transformed overnight into a critical research hub. Students and professors who had been working on theoretical quantum mechanics now found themselves at the forefront of humanity's defense. Dr. Amara Williams stood in a converted lecture hall, her whiteboard covered in complex equations that blended theoretical physics with adaptive combat strategies. Around her, a team of graduate students worked with an intensity that bordered on manic inspiration. Laptops hummed with computational models that were rewriting the fundamental understanding of energy manipulation. "We're not just defending," she explained to a group of military advisors who had been hastily brought in. "We're developing real-time adaptive defense systems that can predict and counter invasion strategies faster than they can be implemented." Across the country, a similar transformation was occurring. In Silicon Valley, Ryan Chen, a 26-year-old software engineer who had been developing autonomous vehicle networks, found himself leading a critical cyber warfare unit. His team of programmers, gamers, and network specialists were turning the internet itself into a weapon. "It's about information flow," Chen explained during an emergency briefing. "The Void Collective thinks in linear computational models. We think in chaos." Commercial networks became intelligence-gathering systems. Social media platforms transformed into distributed early warning networks. Every smartphone, every connected device became a potential sensor in a global defense grid that was forming with impossible speed. In Detroit, automotive manufacturing plants that had been struggling for years suddenly found new purpose. Assembly lines retooled to produce advanced defensive technologies. Automotive engineers worked alongside military specialists, developing armored vehicles that combined civilian engineering with military-grade protection. The medical community responded with equal creativity. Hospitals converted research labs into emergency response centers. Biotechnology researchers began developing adaptive medical technologies designed to counter potential biological threats from the invasion. General Robert Chen's command center became a hub of unprecedented cooperation. Military personnel worked alongside civilian experts, programmers, scientists, engineers from every conceivable background. The traditional hierarchies of military command dissolved, replaced by a more fluid, adaptive decision-making process. "We're not fighting a conventional war," General Chen explained to the international coalition. "This is a total systems defense. Every sector of human society is now part of our defensive strategy." Universities worldwide became critical research centers. Academic networks that had previously shared scientific research now coordinated defensive technologies in real time. A researcher in Tokyo could develop a defensive algorithm that would be integrated into global systems within minutes. The financial sector played a crucial role. Investment firms and economic analysts redirected massive computational resources towards the defense effort. Cryptocurrency mining networks were repurposed into distributed computing platforms that supported defensive technologies. In space, commercial satellite networks transformed into a comprehensive early warning and defense system. Companies that had been developing private space technologies suddenly found themselves on the front lines of planetary defense. The Zornak delegation watched in absolute amazement. Ambassador Krultax's crystalline body seemed to vibrate with an emotion that was somewhere between terror and profound respect. Their most advanced predictive models had completely failed to anticipate this level of systemic adaptability. "They're not just fighting," Dr. Emily Rodriguez muttered, her analysis systems working overtime. "They're evolving in real time." High school students developed communication networks that supported military and civilian defense efforts. Gamers used their advanced strategic skills to help develop defensive algorithms. Artists created visual communication systems that helped coordinate complex defensive strategies. It wasn't just a military response. It was a total societal mobilization that transformed an entire planetary infrastructure into a living, breathing defense mechanism. The invasion had begun with the expectation of easy conquest. But the Void Collective was about to learn a fundamental truth about humanity. When faced with an existential threat, humans didn't just fight. They transformed. Every sector of human society became a weapon. Every citizen became a potential defender. The line between civilian and military response disappeared completely. Humanity was not just responding to an invasion. They were reimagining the very concept of planetary defense. The laboratory at the Advanced Research Projects facility looked more like a controlled chaos than a scientific workspace. Dr. Elena Rodriguez stood at the center, her hands moving across multiple holographic interfaces with a speed that defied conventional human capabilities. Around her, a team of researchers from diverse backgrounds worked with an intensity that bordered on obsession. "We're not just defending," she announced to the room filled with scientists, military specialists, and engineers. "We're rewriting the fundamental understanding of technological adaptation." Commercial technologies became weapons of unprecedented complexity. A network of delivery drones originally designed for package delivery now served as a sophisticated reconnaissance system. Industrial 3D printers that had been manufacturing consumer goods were rapidly reconfigured to produce defensive technologies with impossible speed. Ryan Chen, the software engineer who had become a critical cyber warfare specialist, had developed a distributed computing network that was unlike anything the Void Collective had ever encountered. Traditional computer networks operated on linear processing models. Chen's system was organic, adaptive, almost sentient in its ability to learn and respond. "It's about turning chaos into a weapon," Chen explained during an emergency briefing. His team of programmers, hackers, and network specialists had created a communication system that could predict and counter invasion strategies faster than they could be implemented. At CERN, particle physicists abandoned years of theoretical research and began developing weaponized technologies that defied conventional understanding. Quantum communication networks became defensive systems. Particle accelerators were transformed into potential energy weapons that could disrupt the Void Collective's most advanced technologies. Dr. Catherine Martinez worked on biological adaptation technologies. Her team developed medical treatments that could rapidly respond to potential alien biological threats. Nanotechnology research that had been years from practical application was suddenly fast-tracked into immediate defensive capabilities. Commercial satellite networks became a comprehensive early warning and defense system. GPS technologies were repurposed into tracking and disruption tools. Communication networks that had been designed for global connectivity became sophisticated intelligence-gathering platforms. In automotive research centers, engineers developed adaptive armor technologies. Manufacturing lines that had produced electric vehicles were now creating defensive technologies that could rapidly adapt to changing combat conditions. Autonomous vehicle networks became mobile defensive platforms. The Zornak delegation watched in stunned disbelief. Ambassador Krultax's crystalline body seemed to vibrate with an emotion that was somewhere between terror and profound respect. Their most advanced predictive models had completely failed to anticipate this level of technological creativity. They're not just using existing technologies, Dr. Emily Rodriguez muttered, her analysis systems working overtime. They're creating entirely new technological paradigms in real time. Artificial intelligence systems developed by tech companies were rapidly repurposed. Machine learning algorithms that had been designed for consumer recommendations now analyzed invasion strategies with unprecedented depth. Gaming AI developed for complex strategy games became sophisticated combat prediction systems. Universities worldwide became critical research hubs. Academic networks shared defensive technologies with a speed that defied traditional scientific collaboration. A breakthrough in a research lab in Tokyo could be integrated into global defensive systems within minutes. High-performance computing centers transformed their massive computational resources into adaptive defense networks. Cryptocurrency mining platforms became distributed computing systems that supported global defensive efforts. Every connected device became a potential sensor in a global defense grid. The financial sector played a crucial role. Investment firms and economic analysts redirected computational resources towards defensive technologies. Complex economic modeling systems were repurposed to predict and counter invasion strategies. Medical research facilities developed adaptive technologies that could rapidly respond to potential biological threats. Biotechnology research that had been years from practical application was suddenly fast-tracked into immediate defensive capabilities. Industrial laser systems originally designed for manufacturing were instantaneously repurposed into defensive weapons. Precision cutting technologies became sophisticated targeting systems. Manufacturing robots were transformed into potential combat platforms. It wasn't just about developing new technologies. It was about creating an entirely new approach to technological adaptation. Humanity was demonstrating an ability to reimagine technological potential in real time, turning every available resource into a potential defensive mechanism. The Void Collective had conquered civilizations across multiple star systems. They had faced advanced military powers, technological societies, collective consciousness networks. But they had never encountered a species like humanity. A civilization that could transform its entire technological infrastructure into a living, breathing defensive system. Humanity was not just responding to an invasion. They were rewriting the fundamental rules of technological warfare. The moment of alliance came unexpectedly, born from a shared existential threat that transcended previous diplomatic barriers. In the United Nations Command Center, Ambassador Michael Thompson turned to Ambassador Krultax with a proposal that would reshape galactic politics forever. "We need to work together," Thompson said, his voice carrying a calm that seemed to defy the chaos of the ongoing invasion. The Zornak delegation had been watching humanity's response with a mixture of terror and profound respect. Their carefully prepared first contact mission had transformed into something far more complex. Dr. Emily Rodriguez stepped forward, her xenobiological expertise suddenly becoming critical to survival. The Zornak researchers who had spent decades studying humanity found themselves being studied in return. Human scientists approached the alien delegation not with fear, but with an almost academic curiosity that was entirely unexpected. General Robert Chen began coordinating a collaborative defense strategy that ignored every conventional approach to interspecies cooperation. Military protocols, scientific methodologies, and communication systems were being rewritten in real time. The traditional hierarchies of diplomatic engagement dissolved, replaced by a fluid, adaptive approach. Dr. Catherine Martinez led the first joint research team, bringing together human xenobiologists, Zornak technological experts, and improvised defensive specialists. Their makeshift laboratory became a crucible of innovation, where species that had moments ago been strangers now worked with an intensity that bordered on collective desperation. "We're not just defending," Dr. Martinez explained during their first collaborative briefing. "We're developing an entirely new approach to galactic defense." The Zornak discovered that human collaboration was fundamentally different from any interspecies cooperation they had previously encountered. It wasn't about rigid protocols or predetermined strategies. It was an organic, almost chaotic process of constant adaptation and improvisation. Ryan Chen's cyber warfare team began integrating Zornak communication technologies with human adaptive networks. What should have been an impossibly complex integration became a breakthrough in interspecies technological collaboration. Communication systems that had been incompatible moments ago began to merge, creating something entirely new. Ambassador Krultax watched in stunned amazement as human researchers treated the Zornak not as alien entities, but as potential partners in a shared struggle. The traditional xenobiological approach of careful observation was replaced by an immediate, almost intuitive collaboration. Scientific networks that had been isolated by planetary and species boundaries suddenly became unified. A researcher in Tokyo could share a breakthrough with a Zornak specialist in minutes, with human and alien technologies working in unprecedented harmony. The military collaboration was equally unexpected. Human special forces worked alongside Zornak tactical units, developing combat strategies that combined human creativity with alien technological precision. Traditional military hierarchies dissolved, replaced by a fluid, adaptive approach to planetary defense. Dr. Elena Rodriguez discovered that the Zornak had technologies that could complement human defensive capabilities in ways no one had anticipated. Quantum communication networks merged with human adaptive systems, creating a defense grid that was far more than the sum of its parts. "It's not about who has the most advanced technology," General Chen explained during a joint strategic briefing. "It's about how we can adapt and work together." The financial sector played a crucial role in the unexpected alliance. Global economic systems were redirected to support the collaborative defense effort. Resources that had previously been competitive became shared, with corporations and governments setting aside traditional boundaries. Medical research facilities became centers of interspecies collaboration. Human biotechnology experts worked alongside Zornak medical specialists, developing adaptive technologies that could protect against multiple types of biological and technological threats. Cultural barriers seemed to dissolve in the face of the invasion. What had been moments ago a potential first contact scenario had transformed into a fight for survival. The Zornak delegation discovered that humanity's greatest strength was not its technology, but its ability to unite and adapt. Ambassador Thompson looked at Ambassador Krultax, a subtle smile playing across his features. "Welcome to humanity," he said, "where nothing is impossible." The alliance was more than a diplomatic agreement. It was a fundamental reimagining of interspecies cooperation. Humanity was not just defending itself. They were demonstrating a capacity for collaboration that would reshape galactic politics forever. The Void Collective had expected a simple conquest. Instead, they had united two species in a way no one could have predicted. The moment of transformation began in a converted research facility that had once been a quiet technology incubator in the Silicon Valley. Dr. Elena Rodriguez stood before a massive holographic display, her team of human and Zornak researchers working with an intensity that defied conventional understanding of collaborative effort. "We're not just fighting," she announced, her voice cutting through the constant hum of computational systems. "We're rewriting the fundamental rules of galactic conflict." The breakthrough came from an unexpected convergence of technologies. Ryan Chen's adaptive network systems merged with Zornak quantum communication protocols. Dr. Catherine Martinez's biotechnological innovations integrated with alien defensive technologies. Each system became something more than its original design, a living, breathing network of collective defense. General Robert Chen's command center had transformed into a hub of unprecedented strategic complexity. Military protocols dissolved, replaced by a fluid system of real-time decision-making that drew from every available resource. Academic networks, commercial technologies, and military systems merged into a single adaptive defense mechanism. The Void Collective's invasion strategy had been perfected across multiple galactic conquests. They approached planetary defense with computational precision, their attack vectors calculated to overwhelming mathematical certainty. But they had never encountered a species like humanity, a civilization that didn't just fight, but fundamentally reimagined the concept of conflict. Ambassador Michael Thompson watched the strategic display, noting how human creativity was turning the invasion on its head. Commercial satellite networks became early warning systems. Social media platforms transformed into intelligence-gathering networks. Every connected device became a potential defensive node. In orbit, the first true demonstration of human ingenuity began to unfold. Satellites originally designed for communication and navigation were rapidly reconfigured into a comprehensive defensive grid. Commercial space technologies developed by private companies became critical defensive platforms. Dr. Amara Williams from MIT led a team that developed a quantum communication network that could predict and counter invasion strategies faster than they could be implemented. Their system wasn't just defensive, it was predictive, adaptive, almost sentient in its ability to learn and respond. The Zornak delegation watched in stunned amazement. Ambassador Kreltax's crystalline body seemed to vibrate with an emotion that was somewhere between terror and profound respect. Their most advanced predictive models had completely failed to anticipate this level of systemic adaptation. "They're not just fighting," Dr. Emily Rodriguez muttered, her analysis systems working overtime. "They're evolving in real time." The turning point came from an unlikely combination of technologies. Artificial intelligence systems developed for consumer applications were repurposed into sophisticated combat prediction networks. Gaming AI, designed for complex strategy games, became critical defensive technologies. Machine learning algorithms that had been used for recommendation systems now analyzed invasion strategies with unprecedented depth. Universities worldwide became critical research hubs. A breakthrough in a research lab in Tokyo could be integrated into global defensive systems within minutes. Academic networks shared defensive technologies with a speed that defied traditional scientific collaboration. Biotechnology research facilities developed adaptive technologies that could rapidly respond to potential alien threats. Medical nanotechnology that had been years from practical application was suddenly fast-tracked into immediate defensive capabilities. The financial sector played a crucial role. Investment firms and economic analysts redirected massive computational resources towards defensive technologies. Complex economic modeling systems were repurposed to predict and counter invasion strategies. Industrial systems became weapons of unprecedented complexity. Manufacturing robots were transformed into potential combat platforms. Precision cutting technologies became sophisticated targeting systems. Every sector of human society was being weaponized with impossible speed. Ambassador Thompson turned to the Zornak delegation with a subtle smile. "Humanity doesn't just adapt," he said. "We transform." The Void Collective began to realize that this was not a conventional planetary invasion. Their computational models began to fail, unable to process the level of adaptive response they were encountering. Every time they developed a new invasion strategy, humanity would develop a counter-strategy before the original approach could be fully implemented. It wasn't just about technological superiority. It was about a fundamental approach to problem-solving that the Void Collective could not comprehend. Humanity was demonstrating an ability to turn limitation into opportunity, to transform every challenge into a potential advantage. The invasion had begun with the expectation of easy conquest. But humanity was about to teach the Void Collective a fundamental lesson about the nature of resilience, creativity, and collective action. The turning point had arrived, and nothing would ever be the same. The silence that followed the defeat of the Void Collective was more profound than any sound of battle. In the United Nations headquarters, the interrupted handshake between Ambassador Michael Thompson and Ambassador Krultax became a symbol of something far greater than a diplomatic encounter. Dr. Emily Rodriguez stood before the assembled representatives of Earth and the Zornak, her analysis presenting a comprehensive breakdown of humanity's unexpected victory. The holographic display behind her showed the complex web of technologies, strategies, and collective actions that had transformed a potential extinction event into a moment of galactic significance. "We didn't just defend," she explained, her voice carrying through the silent chamber. "We demonstrated a fundamental approach to existence that challenges everything known about advanced civilizations." The Zornak delegation had spent decades studying humanity, compiling terabytes of data, developing complex predictive models. Yet nothing could have prepared them for the reality of human adaptation. Their most advanced xenobiological research had failed to capture the true essence of human potential. General Robert Chen reviewed the final strategic analysis. The defense had been more than a military operation. It was a total societal mobilization that had transformed every aspect of human infrastructure into a living, breathing defensive mechanism. Universities became research hubs. Commercial technologies became weapons. Social networks became intelligence-gathering platforms. Ambassador Krultax's crystalline body seemed to shimmer with a complex emotional response that defied standard sinological classification. The interruption of their carefully planned first contact had revealed something far more profound about humanity. Dr. Catherine Martinez presented the medical and biotechnological innovations that had emerged from the conflict. Technologies developed in days that would have taken decades under normal circumstances. Adaptive medical systems, quantum communication networks, defensive biotechnologies, all created in the crucible of planetary survival. Ryan Chen demonstrated the adaptive network systems that had been critical to the defense. What had begun as commercial communication technologies had transformed into a sophisticated, almost sentient defensive grid. The line between civilian and military technologies had disappeared completely. The financial sector had played a crucial role. Global economic systems had been redirected with impossible speed. Corporations and governments had set aside traditional boundaries, creating a level of collaborative effort that defied previous understanding of interspecies cooperation. Humanity's greatest strength, Ambassador Michael Thompson said, is not our technology. It's our ability to unite, to adapt, to transform challenges into opportunities. The Galactic Concordance, the loose federation of advanced civilizations, began to reassess everything they thought they knew about emerging species. Humanity had not just defended itself. They had fundamentally challenged the existing paradigms of galactic politics, technological development, and interspecies cooperation. Dr. Elena Rodriguez's research team began compiling a comprehensive analysis of the conflict. It wasn't just a military victory. It was a demonstration of a completely different approach to civilization, one that valued adaptability, collective action, and creative problem-solving above all else. The interrupted handshake became a moment of profound symbolism. What had begun as a carefully planned diplomatic encounter had transformed into something far more significant. The Zornak, who had spent decades studying humanity from a distance, now found themselves true partners in a way no one could have predicted. Universities worldwide began developing new interdisciplinary programs. The conflict had demonstrated the critical importance of breaking down traditional academic and technological boundaries. Collaboration became the new paradigm of scientific and technological development. Medical research facilities that had developed adaptive technologies during the conflict began exploring new approaches to treatment and disease prevention. The technologies developed to defend against alien threats now promised revolutionary advances in human health. The space exploration sector experienced a massive transformation. Commercial space technologies that had been developed during the conflict now promised a new era of interstellar exploration and potential colonization. Ambassador Thompson looked at Ambassador Krultax, a subtle smile playing across his features. "Welcome to humanity," he said, "where nothing is impossible." The Void Collective's invasion had been intended to be a moment of planetary subjugation. Instead, it had become a catalyst for a fundamental transformation of human potential. Humanity had not just survived. They had demonstrated a capacity for adaptation, innovation, and collective action that would reshape galactic understanding forever. As the first joint human-Zornak research teams began their work, one thing became abundantly clear: the galaxy would never be the same again.